and welcome to the Can I Ask You a Question podcast. This is the first episode. Maybe we could call it the pilot episode. I'm Steve Mays, and I am joined by my almost lifelong friend, Drew Clayton. Hello, Drew.
Hello, Steve. Glad to be
It
here.
is, I think we've discussed this podcast for a while, and so it's good to get to the pilot episode, I guess, if
Yeah, I
you
think
agree.
it's been over 10 years, I think, and it's just nice that we don't have to be smart enough to know technology because I think we were well out in front of our skis, however many years ago when we wanted to do this, but we just never had the capabilities to do it. So
And now it's better. We were ahead of the ball technology wise 10 years ago or 12 years ago, whenever that was, when we started the very first live streamed talk show. That was before I think there was even websites where you could stream. It was not a
I
thing,
don't
but we made it a thing.
I don't know what that platform was, but all right.
I think it was actually called Ustream. That's where but it was very early and it was free. I don't understand, but why on earth? We'll get to a little later why we're doing it, but why did we pick this title? Why is this podcast called "Can I Ask You a Question"?
Yeah, it's great. We decided that we're going to call it "Can I Ask You a Question?" because that is the thing that we are asked the most as two tall guys living life out in society. Um, People randomly come up to us that have no idea who we are. We don't know who they are, and that's the first thing they ask is, "Can I ask you a question?" And it's normally preceded by, "How tall are you? Do you play basketball? Who do you play basketball for?" Um, but it's always centered around height.
Yes, and just for those who perhaps don't know us, and I find it hard to imagine that many people who don't know us would hear this first episode, but
True.
Drew is every bit of 6.6. So here I am talking. I live in Europe now. I'm talking in like centimeters, but you're 6 feet 7 inches, six
True.
feet eight. Yeah, 6 feet seven. Yeah, I can't even speak English sometimes. Like I don't, and I am 7 foot tall. But in my stilettos, I'm at least 7'2". So but I don't rock those very often. But that'll be a whole different episode. But yes, it is ironic though when people come up to us and say, "Can I ask you a question?" Because what they have just done, what they are asking permission to do, and so I always roll my eyes a bit internally. But anyway, but it is true. So can I ask you a question? And so yeah, it should be good to enjoy the process of being asked questions for once.
Yeah, it'll be fun to be the question asker. I have, on the flip side, I have seen quite a few people that are close to the same height, and I ask them, "How often do you get the question?" So it's nice to throw it at them, and they always know what I mean. And depending on where they're at, they'll let me know. Yeah, every now and then, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it is true. So, do you want to start us off?
yeah. Steve, can I ask you a question?
Oof. Yes, you can.
What is going on in your neck of the woods? What's going on in Norway?
Oh, so much is going on in Norway. I can tell you one thing that's not happening is that spring isn't here. We still have like 3 feet of snow in our yard, and so spring is not happening. But COVID is happening. This will timestamp this a bit. We've had a fairly good experience so far with COVID-19 here in Norway. I mean, we've had our troubles, of course, but we haven't had the big lockdowns, the face mask mandates. We've had it fairly nice, but now it's getting a little rough. And now, especially in the bigger cities, they're lifting up the rules, or they're not lifting up the rules. They are strengthening the rules. They're making it tighter.
Mm.
And I share that because, okay, that's one thing. Lots of rules. Many people experience that. But just last week, what I read in the newspaper, the prime minister, Erna Solberg, kind of the president of Norway, if you will, the leader of the government, she's the one who kind of sets all these laws and the rules. And I'm not going to talk about politics about this, but I just want to say, like, she's a very respected, very liked by most people. And she set these strong rules that you couldn't have over a certain number of people in your house for a gathering. And guess what she did? When she was on winter break, she had 14 people in her house. She broke her own rules. And
Rules
now
I
it's
say, not I break.
all a big controversy here. So in Norway, it's still a bit of a controversy with the prime minister not following her own rules. So that is what's happening here in Norway. Is we are in the middle of a little bit of a scandal.
Nice. It's
You
always
know,
it's always good to hear those happen elsewhere.
yeah. But if people get over it faster here, it's not so us versus them. People just kind of okay. She apologized, pay the fine, da 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 da. So so that's what's happening here. And hopefully the COVID stuff gets better. Hopefully more vaccines come and everything can return to normal. But can I ask you a question, Drew? What on earth is happening back in my old stomping grounds in the NKY, in the greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area? What is going on?
Well, the first thing that happened is I got up early this morning and went for a run, which is nice because there's a commercial out that I refer to all the time. It is it's an insurance commercial, I believe, but it's a guy talking to people that are ending up like their parents, which you find in your mid 30s that you end up sounding more like your parents than you ever thought you would. And he
Mm-hmm.
says, "You woke up early, no one cares." So that's a big one because dads love to tell you how early they got up in the morning. But on the serious and fun note, our Dixie Colonels are firmly planted in the regional tournament coming up here next week,
Mm,
and they got one of the best possible draws for them because all of the heavyweights are on the other side of the bracket. So they're going to let them fight it out on the other side. They would have to take care of some business in the second round, but they have a good squad this year. Went golfing with my dad yesterday, and he's over the moon, excited about this team. And yeah, it's going to be different. I know in years past, um, non-COVID years, they've had the tournament at NKU's BB&T Arena,
mm-hmm.
and all teams would converge there and play their first, second, and championship game at BB&T. And this year, they're playing the first round games at the home site of the
Yeah.
region winner. So Dixie will play their first round game at home against Newport, and then the final two rounds will be played at Holmes High School. So
What was the reason? I understand the home game idea, kind of not bringing a big crowd together, but why Holmes over Northern Kentucky? Is it that it's too expensive if you can't have enough tickets to
it
pay
could be.
for it?
I don't know
Yeah,
exactly. I would imagine that's probably part of it.
yeah,
But Holmes being probably the largest gymnasium within the ninth
yeah.
region, um,
Do they
and
have a new gym, or is it the same one from back
same,
back 20 years? Yeah,
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 wanting to get the most amount of people in there possible. Um, and Yeah, this would be a good part for a cutaway to show you a picture of what the student section looked like at one of the district games that was played at Holmes. But I'll tell you what, it was a picture of Cupcath and their student section, but every one of them had masks on. So I applaud that. So that's
yeah.
yeah. So
Well,
it's different. We've come so far, and we're nearing the finish line here in the states. Vaccinations rolling out, but yeah, we're close. So it's nice to see that we're masked and
how
keep
often have the Colonels been in the ninth region tournament? Are they in it almost every year? I know that the district's not always the strongest, so
yeah.
usually
I
you
mean, I
just have to
think for
win
the
one
most
game
part,
over.
I think for the most part they've made it pretty much every year.
Yeah, but this year I looked at the bracket yesterday. And I'm not sure when we'll get this out. Sometime in the next several days, but yeah, at this
By
point
the time
it
we do,
does.
at least the first round game will be over with.
Yeah,
That's tomorrow.
and especially if it's at Dixie, that'll be good. Who is it that they would play in the semifinals? I forgot in my head.
They'll play Connor and or um, no, they'll play Ryle and or Holy Cross.
Okay, well, definitely easier than playing Highlands, Covcath, or St. Henry.
Yeah, that's definitely the stronger side of the bracket. Let me double check my facts here. No,
It sounds right though.
It's Connor or Holy Cross.
Yeah, Connor Holy Cross.
Connor or Holy
So
Cross.
most likely Holy Cross, I guess.
And the big boys on the other side are Highlands, Cupcat, and St. Henry.
And who's
Cupcat,
St. Henry play in the first round? They play
Cupcat.
two
So
top
you have
five teams in the
possibly
state.
the two top teams in the region playing each other in the first round, which is
That's outstanding. And it's at Covcath.
no, it's going to be they're going to play it at Holmes,
Oh, the first
so
round game at Holmes.
so they can get the most amount of people in there as they possibly can.
Yeah, that'll be good. Well, hopefully the Colonels represent. In a year like this, you never know who's going to come out of that other side. So it'd be great to see the Colonels make a run. They've had a squad. I mean, we graduated 18 years ago, which is a little bit crazy to think about. But they've had a couple teams with Brandon Hatton, and there was another team at somewhere along the way where it looked like they could make a real run.
Yeah, well,
Um,
that in this team, they've still got one more year. There's a lot of juniors on this team, so
yeah,
um, but yeah, it's nice to know that if you can get yourself to the finals, that'll be hopefully the other side has been beaten up and bruised by the time you play them. It's the
yeah,
hope, but
yeah,
Texas got a good team this year. They're very resilient, and yeah, just like in the NCAA tournament with the other thing that's happening, brackets all over the place have been busted. Um, I feel like my bracket is still okay, oddly enough. But yeah, it's we are fully into day three,
yeah,
starting today at noonish. Um, so it's exciting. I've watched a handful of games here and there. I love how just the games are timed out. That way you can watch the last 7 minutes of one game, and then flip over and you're watching the last 8 minutes of the next game, and you
yeah.
can roll on like that for a while.
It is the best 4 days of the entire sports year. I mean, I love obviously the Elite Eight and the Sweet 16 and the Final Four. But these days, I try my best. And actually, this year it's worked out. I'm taking vacation during these days, but the time zone makes it difficult. It doesn't start till 5 o'clock here, so it's the
Mm,
first night I actually fell asleep around 9:30, 10. I was just really tired, and then I woke up at like two o'clock and watched another 2 hours of basketball. So
right.
and yesterday I watched until about midnight, and then I woke up this morning and ESPN has a new international streaming rights. So for $10 a month, you have DVR for all sports. So I'm able just to go in, click, watch the end of the game. Watch a little bit of the beginning, a little bit of the end, and kind of and just see what happens. And now tonight, now it's kind of one game at a time. So it'll be nice to watch a couple tonight and
A little more
keep
spaced
it
out.
going. Nice to see Evangel Christian. They took down Texas. I was rooting for Texas a bit because I really like their coach, but
Shaka.
you know Shaka with hair now, no more shave. So, but hope he gets another year. Hope they don't hold him too much because I haven't watched any basketball this year because it was so hard to watch college. NBA is
Mm-hmm.
not so difficult, but now that ESPN has this new thing, I think next year I might be able to see a game or two. But it is strange not having UK, not having Duke. Now North Carolina's out. Kansas almost bit it, so it is a strange year
Yeah,
in a way. Maybe
yeah.
it's the year for Mark Few and Gonzaga to finally get their day in the sun. Maybe that's finally the day that has been building for
They
the
would
last
go
20
undefeated
years.
too, which would be very interesting. And um,
Yeah,
yeah, we'll
they
see.
got a road to do it. So but today in this first episode, we want to focus on just one other question here in our time together, and that is, we I'm sure there are many things that we're going to discuss over the different podcasts, and it's impossible to map them out or forecast what it will be. I think sometimes I do envision this to be a bit of reactionary. What's going on? What can we talk about? What are we thinking about? But before we begin, I think it is interesting to start with this question, and maybe we can both ask this question, or both not both ask this question. We can both try to answer this question a bit. And like, why do a podcast? Why are we trying to get rich and famous here? Are we trying to start a cult? Are we trying to Are we trying to audition for ESPN or maybe on the Pat McAfee show? Are we trying to become famous TV preachers? What is the reason that we're starting this? What is it? What is it for you?
Wow, that's a great question, Steve. Thanks for asking. Um, for me, I feel like it's just been a long time coming.
Hmm.
For us, I think we're actually just going to do it. So I think actually putting, use coining the using the phrase putting pen to paper for us. Just nice to finally just do it and see, what it's like for us. I know we had a pilot test episode, and that was very therapeutic for us.
That
So really,
one
like,
won't make the air.
no, this podcast is it's a very self-centered podcast in terms of we're doing the intrinsic nature is for us.
Yeah.
But obviously we want to branch out a little bit. But I hope that we get just some time to hang out as friends, and then I know that part of the plan is to look at having guests and what that would look like, and reconnecting
Hmm.
with some of those people, talking with them. But it sounds strange to say, but the building blocks of this was just to kind of get it to print, get it out, do it. Finally, just kind of have a moment for us to set aside and say this is time we're going to talk,
Yeah.
and it could be a little free form from time to time, but um, I think that's one of the main reasons behind it for me.
Hmm.
And then otherwise, I think we'll find those reasons as we go.
Yeah.
Would it be nice to become famous podcast host? Absolutely. But let's
Joe
face it,
Rogan, watch out.
right? Let's face it, we are entering our later 30s, and let's face it. I mean, we're too boring, uh, dudes talking about what everyone else is talking about. So this is for us.
Yeah.
But if you like what we're saying, this is for you too. So it's nice.
Yeah.
Steve, what do you hope to get out of doing this podcast?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. I do think at first I think it's just good to have a chance to catch up, have something that we can kind of you know talk through and plan and do, and not go 2 months without talking. Like it's on my side, living so far from family and friends. It's good to have some things that to keep me connected to folks. And so I think that that's first. And also it is just something that I really want to learn how to do. I think that I'm interested in it, and I'm interested in talking. I could care less if 2 people listen or if 2 million people listen, although if 2 million people listen, we got to monetize this thing because I want some money, but I don't foresee that happening. But I do really respect the art form here, and I don't think this art form is going away. I don't think this art form is going to do anything but grow and become a bigger part of pop culture and just culture as a whole. I think that
Mm-hmm.
podcasting. So I think for me to understand it, to learn how to do it, whether or not I do it in many other facets, I don't know. But just to do it and be interested in it. And if people want to come along for the ride, I think that's great. I think it would be a lot of fun to bring other interviewers in, or bring other people in from our time together back in northern Kentucky. Or other people completely unrelated that perhaps we just want to talk about different topics. I just think there's such good flexibility here. Like, it's not that we are going into this aimlessly with no clear focus. It's just like, no, what this provides is just a place for a whole lot of different conversations. It's not just a sports show, but I could see us getting Josh Ball on here and talking about hoops for a couple hours. I could see us bringing on somebody who works in one of the churches that we know and talking about life and ministry. And I could see a lot of different things. I could see bringing our wives on, letting them tell the world. Well, maybe not. We won't go there just yet, but. But there are lots of options. I don't think we want the world to know all of our bad habits. That's what I'm. That's
The
what I'm
Dirty Laundry
thinking.
podcast.
The dirty laundry podcast. So I think it's just it's fun to do this. It's fun to learn, and it provides an opportunity to do a lot of different things. And so we'll see how it goes. We'll have some fun and have some good conversations along the way.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, that sums it up pretty good.
But what's coming up in your next week or the next? What's on? What anything fun on your horizon before we wrap it up here today?
Yeah, actually, something very exciting. So, Lucy, my daughter, who is 6,
Hmm.
has expressed interest in golf.
Oh,
Yeah. So, this has been a dream of mine for 6 years, ever since she's been born. So, the day has finally come. And so, she's been taking swim lessons just from a um, safety swimming standpoint.
hmm,
And then she went back this year just to do a refresher. And her teacher was like, "You're a pretty good swimmer. Like you
yeah,
should probably look at being on a swim team." And she said, "No, I'm going to be a golfer."
yeah.
So
And
this
you
week,
teared up when you heard that.
yeah, this week we kind of had to put some money where her mouth is and say, "All right, well, it's time to figure this out." So bought her a pair of golf clubs, and yeah, she's excited about going out and swinging a club. And so we've got a, unlike Norway, it is spring here. Um, Played golf yesterday. It was cold out in the morning, but it warmed up in the afternoon. And then tomorrow it's actually supposed to be very nice outside. So the plan is to take her to the driving range with her new set of clubs for the first time. She had um, an old pitching wedge and an old putter cut down for her, which will now be passed down to Deacon. Um,
Mm,
but now it's time to, for her to go out and practice. So the goal would be, here over the next, few weeks to practice and then see what it looks like for her to go out and, play, excuse me, at a reduced course length and everything. Just her put a ball in the middle of the fairway and take the driver and take a whack at it.
yeah.
Yeah, so we're excited. I'm excited about that. That's been a long time coming, and the fact that she's telling everyone that she's going to be a golfer. Statistically, there are girls golf scholarships that just go unused. So hopefully, there's not this big boom of like girls golfers in the next few years that would prohibit her from carrying this into her college years and paying for her own college with her golf skills.
Boom.
Not saying that she has to be great; she just has to be decent.
Yeah.
And that's I mean, as a dad, my hope is that, um, this is just time for us to go out and, enjoy something together. And then, from there, like the sky's the limit. I mean, I want her to be as good at golf as she wants to be. But it's just exciting for me to, finally be at this point where it's like she's asking to go like play golf or practice golf. Go from there.
Well, you enjoy that, brother.
I will. I might play more golf this year than I did last year. And I played a lot of golf.
I think that's likely for a lot of things. I think.
Yes.
No. What?
What about you? Anything coming up this week for yourself?
We have a couple busy weeks with work. It's the Easter season of a pastor, I think. So we have uh, what is it? We have a big event. How many times can I say? We have a big event on Palm Sunday, and we will have a lunch with our church afterwards. And we've started a kids choir, and so that's they're going to perform on Easter, and we have
Mm,
several extra events, and so there's a lot of fun stuff happening. So it's last week was a little bit light, so now we just got a couple of really busy weeks, and it should be really fun. So I think
okay.
after Easter, I will. Then after Easter, it's like a countdown to coming to the U.S. After Easter, it's 6 or 7 weeks until we make our trip to the motherland. So
Pilgrimage. That's right.
our pilgrimage, 2 months.
You'll be here for 2 months.
2 months. I'll be in Northern Kentucky for a few of the weeks. Hawaii is the plan as well because my sister lives in Hawaii right now as a nurse. And then we also have to spend a couple weeks in New York for some meetings and things like that. So
Yeah. What?
that's at the end.
So the three places you named: Hawaii, New York, and Northern Kentucky. obviously climates, three
Yeah.
different uh, three different things going on. But let's close it down with our last 3 minutes. And you don't have to take a minute per, but can I ask you a question? What are you looking forward to with those three places? Like, what's the one thing that you would pick out
Mm.
from each of those three places? That's like this is what I'm looking most forward to.
A- And just so I'm not too generic, I'll leave out seeing family and friends because obviously
Sure.
at each of those spots, seeing visiting with you guys, visiting with my family, it's always that's always the most important. But the things I'm looking forward to the most, my trip to Northern Kentucky, I'm really looking forward to going to Kings Island. That might sound silly, but we don't have a real amusement park here, and so it's been a few years. And
I was going to say Skyline, but okay.
yeah, well, Skyline, yes, I'll be at Skyline at least 4 times.
Six.
I'll be good and hungry enough. Don't you worry. But Kings Island and maybe Cedar Point. Really, if I can. My wife's not a huge amusement park person, but she's game if I'm really excited. So I'm really looking forward to that. In Hawaii, oh, that's just Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii, and so just a couple weeks with beach time and
Mm,
just rest. That we're kind of looking at that as our real vacation in the vacation, because it is 2 months that we're given to travel home since it's been 3 years, but
yeah.
in it, we're trying to say that that time is really a vacation where it's not like traveling, it's just rest. And
Yeah.
so that I'm looking for just the beach time and eating some good food and experiencing Hawaii. And in New York, I have no idea what to expect in New York because that place is a hot mess. I was there in October for a little while and it was just strange. But I'm looking forward to New York City bagels.
Mm,
I'm really looking forward to eating some bagels and to obviously pizza as well, but bagels, man. They don't know how to do bagels in Norway. They try. They really give it an effort, but they don't. And to be fair to Norway, like it's the same thing in a lot of the United States. Like they try, but it's that New
yeah.
Jersey, that New York City thing. Like they do something. I don't know. They say it's in the water, and that could be. But but I'm looking forward to the big creamy cheese and egg bagel.
Wow.
So
Okay.
you know but yeah, so I'm looking forward to it, and it'll be fun. And but yeah, but I think that's all the time we have for today.
That's
um it's been fun to finally do this, and anybody who's listening, we are going to do this every so often. We haven't set a defined schedule just yet, but subscribe, like, leave a comment. If you didn't like it, well, write that you did like it. If you think it's worth 1 star, give us 5 stars, because it really will help us.
helps a
Even
lot.
though we don't really care if
Ah,
everybody listens. So like, subscribe, share, tell the world that it changed your life. And until next time, Drew. Ha det
until
bra.
next
That's
time.
goodbye in Norwegian. Ha
Goodbye.
det bra.